Blowing up on YouTube isn't hard, it's easy. Actually, that's the name of the channel that I'll be talking about today, which has 1.4 million views for its first video, and that's actually insane. This channel, just with 10 videos, has 789,000 subscribers, and the thumbnails, they look like they're made in MS Paint, because they probably are, but behind this simple looking channel, there's some real genius lurking, and I want to break down the titles, the thumbnails, and the storytelling that makes this a certified banger. Now, to point out the very obvious thing to start off with, you don't need to be a YouTuber to understand how this works, but they've got very simple text, very simple branding, and this is kind of very much in contrast to what the usual meta of YouTube is, where we have lots of overproduced thumbnails. This is going on the other side, where it's almost looking like it's underproduced. The titles, if you look at them, they all contain stuff like quitting your YouTube addiction is easy actually. Reaching a $1 million net worth is easy actually. By having this super consistent theme across videos, it makes it impossible to forget. That's all easy stuff to recognize, but I want to start to point out some of the less obvious stuff. To start off with the obvious thing, each thumbnail and each title promises some information. Learning a new language, becoming smart, avoiding taxes, I guess. Those things are obvious, but the thing that's not obvious is that these thumbnails emphasize scale. So if you look closely at the thumbnails, here in the becoming smart thing, you've got a lot of books. Here in the trolley problem, you've got a lot of people. You've got a lot of languages. When you're talking about the losing weight video, it's got every single form of losing weight, from diet to exercise to whatever this is. So in general, this thumbnail is actually a really strong promise of there being a lot of things inside the video. Promise a lot and get the click. It's a pretty simple idea actually. Now, there's a second non-obvious thing that's really interesting to look at from the perspective of a YouTuber, because if you're getting videos that reach millions of views, you actually need to really think about this. And this is not easy to spot unless you're looking out for it deliberately. I want you to take a look at this page and just have a look and see, is there any particular one that stands out as the worst performing video to you? The worst performing video here is avoiding taxes is easy actually. I believe the reason for this is because when you look at the other ones, like getting a personality or becoming smart or learning a new language, there's something common between them that's not as obvious, which is that they are very broad appeal topics. Avoiding taxes is not something that most people actively think about doing. So learning a new language or becoming smart, here you've got this broader audience that you can reach, and by having a broad potential audience, it sets your video up, especially if your video is a high performing video, it sets it up for more views. To explain this whole concept, I made this graph on YouTube Economics 101. The total addressable market, or the TAM, is just the sheer number of people that could possibly have like even a smidgen of interest in your video. So by having a topic that's relevant to lots and lots of people, it means that more people can actually watch your topic. Now, I'm about to talk about the editing and the storytelling, which makes these videos absolute bangers, and you won't want to miss these tips. But I do want to talk about the YouTube Storytelling Primer. It's a 5-day free email course that I made and wrote just about YouTube. So if you're a YouTuber that wants to learn more about hooks or titles or thumbnails, then this is going to be really, really useful for you. You can go to storytellingprimer.com and put in your email, and then I'll send you that course absolutely for free. I think you're going to really like it. Onto the storytelling. The first part I want to talk about with Easy Actually is that the hooks are really, really good. And there's some really interesting things that are done in the hooks that you can take to your own videos, which I think is very helpful for keeping good retention and just making the video feel like a video worth watching. So the first thing I want you to notice is that with Easy Actually, it doesn't start off like a dry productivity video. It starts off almost always with some sort of joke.
Getting a personality is like getting into Area 51 if the security guard was Helen Keller. It's really easy.
That's from the very first video of Easy Actually. And you can see it's a little bit weird. There's not an immediate, oh, I'm going to tell you how to get a personality, as some people might tell you to do when you're first starting off on YouTube. It's just purely starting off with personality and a joke. Let me quickly show you another example.
So you want to become smart. In most of the world, you're told that it takes 12 years of school, plus 4 years of college, plus 6 years of graduate school to become smart. But what you actually become is homeless. That's not even a joke.
He says it's not a joke, but you and I know better. So I've talked about this idea of reaffirming the click. Reaffirming the click just means that the viewer has come and clicked on your video, and it's very important for them to very quickly, like a little bit of a reward for doing so. They want to know that what they clicked on is what they're going to get for the video. So the easy version of reaffirming the click is something like showing a visual that matches the thumbnail. That's kind of like the level, maybe like level 1, level 2 of that. But the level 3 of it is really this emotional reaffirmation of the click, which means that if someone has come to your video to be entertained, I think it's very important to do something that is a little bit entertaining early on, or that's a little bit funny early on. I've called this concept time to first emotion. I've talked a lot about it in the storytelling course that I released, so you can check that out if you want to. But essentially what time to first emotion is, or TTFE, is this like micro emotion that people receive when they first start watching your video. And if you can, for example, make them happy very quickly, then they're probably going to keep on watching your video. If the viewer is expecting a funny video, then giving them a small laugh early on is going to be very helpful for helping them feel like, this is the right video, I want to watch this. Now, let me show you how easy actually masters relatability. And if you understand this, it means that your videos will connect with your audience at a much deeper level.
Think about how easy it was when you were a kid. Your entire personality would be like Harry Potter, knowing frog facts and being good at Connect 4. And that was just how it was. An adult comes up to you and starts a conversation, and within 40 seconds, they know you as the Harry Potter Connect 4 frog kid.
So that's very interesting, right? And by the relatability here, this is specifically a relatability to people that were maybe born in the early to late 1990s and had seen the Harry Potter movies. Although anyone at any age can play, it might be particularly nostalgic for people in that period of time. Here's another clip that emphasizes this relatability aspect of things more.
82nd time in a row of not being able to name a single one of your interests and hobbies when asked. It might start to feel like you just don't have any. But in fact, getting a personality is way simpler than advice on the internet makes it seem. Most people say, be yourself. But that's just extrovert propaganda, since extroverts can be interesting just by existing and using social wizard tactics that an introvert may know about but can never execute.
So this is a different kind of relatability, one that's not based in nostalgia, but rather this us versus them mentality. Like, it doesn't seem like an antagonistic thing, but really what he's doing is putting yourself as the introvert who is watching this video and then being like, these are, the things that we understand as introverts that those extroverts couldn't possibly understand. So this kind of relatability is interesting because instead of using nostalgia and sentimentality of the past, you're actually using this us versus them mentality. We do things in a certain way and those people don't understand over there. So all these little bits and pieces help to make this video feel like it's targeted towards the viewer, and that makes viewers feel like this video is very, very special to them.
Time for the easy part, which is learning it. Usually, people on the internet will tell you that the fastest method to learn any language is to get a language partner, or a tutor, or a friend who's willing to sit down with you and talk to you like a baby until you start picking up words and sentences. And while this is probably the fastest way, it requires human interaction.
This is actually very interesting because there's a few things going on here. So when he's talking about these YouTube videos where they apparently teach you that you need to immerse yourself with other people to try to learn the language, here he's setting up this problem to be a really big problem. That's why when he presents an easy solution, it makes the easy solution seem like, wow, this is like an amazing thing. So I want to share with you this really fascinating story, and because I've always been nerding out about storytelling, I tried to take YouTube storytelling techniques from lots and lots of different fields. One of the films that I felt was really interesting was Spider-Verse. And so I checked out the different animators, and there's one animator called Jordan Barg. Jordan Barg had made this short film, which was amazing, and I think we can clip it here. Basically, it was so funny and so interesting. So I actually set up a call with him and asked him, how do you think about timing and rhythm and stuff? Because the timing of this video was so good. He said that comedy lands on the offbeats. I thought it was really interesting. So when you have on-beat type stuff, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, repeating that feels very mundane. But if you have something like 1, 2, stop, that sort of thing that's not quite on the beat, in this case, the
Elon Musk, rich, eccentric, that's it, Adele.
It's really, really interesting. It's a lot more engaging. This is similar to this idea of a pattern interrupt, except instead of a visual or something that's different from the video, you're actually just doing it with rhythm. So here I've even diagrammed it out, and you can see that you got this rich 1 and eccentric 2 and That's it, Adele, right? So that's kind of how the break happens there. If you actually look at the audio track for the video, which I've got here, you can see that correlates with exactly what's happening in terms of the offbeat, which is a very exciting thing to learn and so cool if you can implement that in your videos. So a rhythm change is one kind of pattern interrupt, but then you get excited because you're like, okay, I want to learn about all the other kinds of pattern interrupts too. Well, let me just show you another example of one.
Learning about cleaning methods, reading up on the latest cleaning lore, watching cleaning videos, maybe even save up to get a pressure washer and the dirt on people's driveways for my...
I don't know, that idea of just randomly being like it's so weird and so kind of funny. So you can be very innovative with your pattern interrupts. They can be things like rhythm, they can be things like not using words in this case. And these are just small little techniques that help to make the overall video feel more fun and engaging. Another small technique that he uses with the visuals is if he doesn't have visuals, well, he just uses dynamic typography.
The more clear, memorable traits you can associate with someone, the more personality they'll seem to have.
And it's interesting because this is a thing that people have caught on to in the past. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, but this was an absolutely legendary video by Apple when they released it at the time. And at least in the corporate world, this feels like where a lot of people's drive towards dynamic typography came from this Apple commercial. And that whole commercial goes on to be really, really cool. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with a kind of edutainment video like this, it's kind of important to try to include non-obvious advice because everyone's heard all the obvious advice, right? So if you include something that's like your own intellectual property, that can be very, very valuable for your videos.
And there's one easy way to do this. It's called the spike method. This is actually a trick used in college admissions to help regular students get into Ivy Leagues without needing to donate a building. So
just by naming something the spike method or some other intellectual property, and a lot of YouTubers do this, but you start to almost like give it a bit more weight behind the education because it feels like a unique concept that people haven't heard about before. Let's say, for example, Ali Abdaal. So if you go to Ali Abdaal's and you go to his most popular videos, there's one video which is very, very popular of recent, which is the Trident calendar system. This is a bit different from if you just put how I manage my time, a calendar system that I use, and you can see that's very valuable. And other people have done this before. So for example, this is Struthless. And of course he has videos like 7 things I wish I knew at 20, Growing Advice That Changed My Life. None of them have IP necessarily. But then here is something like the toothpaste theory, which is one of his more recent videos that got 1.3. So a video that I remember trying to trend jack a long time ago when I was still regularly posting on my main channel, which I wanted to post more to, was this video on the anime Doro. And basically anime Doro was this completely made up concept where it's just like a Pomodoro timer, which means that you study for a certain period of time and then take breaks, except he just put anime inside of those breaks. And that video is at 1.6 million views. In fact, it did very, very well very quickly because it was a new concept. If you're someone in any niche, whether it's educational or entertainment, just making something new is always really fun to try out. And this is something that's very different from, for example, outlier theory. Outlier theory is good. I think it's very, very important to know about and even to use. And the concept there, you may or may not know, but to explain it in one sentence, you're taking videos that have performed for smaller channels or have outperformed compared to the videos around that channel.
So yeah, hopefully that was easy to understand. I'll be taking donations in the form of subscribes to fund the next video.
With regards to Easy Actually, the channel, there's one last non-obvious thing that I want to talk about. The reason that YouTube is YouTube as a platform is because there's this certain rawness and authenticity that comes from YouTubers that is different from, for example, what you might see on Netflix or what you might see on a TV show. I think the channels that will continue to do the best, not just now, but also in the future, are the ones where viewers don't feel like they're just being presented information necessarily, but rather that the YouTuber themselves that they're following along with is kind of a character that they can relate to. And during this very sentimental speech, this is exactly when my camera decided to die. I do apologize if this video may seem very Frankenstein together. We just had a lot of troubles in the edit for reasons that I won't get into, but I hope you liked it anyway. I figured I'd publish it because it's got useful stuff inside of it. This has been Darby's YouTube analysis, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.